Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, written between 1596 and 1598. Act 1, near the Rialto Bridge in Venice. In the watery city of Venice, where high-necked boats nod along the flowing streets, and the bright air is full of the winks and chinks of money, there lived a merchant by the name of Antonio. He was good and upright, and all his wealth was laid out in tall, billowing vessels that ventured for trade far and wide. He had everything a merchant might have wished for, but he was melancholy and knew not why. It was as if there was a shadow over the sun, cooling his pleasures and darkening his days. As he strolled along the busy Rialto, where rich men gathered in their velvet caps and brocaded gowns, his friend Bassanio tried to discover the cause of his sadness, and so to cure it. Was he troubled about the safety of his ships? Or was he in love, which was a mournful business, if ever there was one?
You look not well, Signor Antonio. You have too much respect upon the world. Do you have troubles, Antonio?
Antonio was deeply fond of Bassanio and looked upon him almost as a son. As often happens with older men, he looked fondly on the happy carelessness of youth.
To you, Antonio, I owe the most money, and in love.
Do not think of it.
I don't want it. It saddened Antonio to think of Bassanio's lack of money, and now Bassanio had a need for more money.
In Belmont, there's a lady as lovely as she is rich. Her name is Portia. Suitors come from far and wide to win her heart and hand. I have seen her once and received such encouragement from her eyes that I am sure I could succeed in winning her. That is, if only I had the money to present myself as a suitor of equal worth among my rivals.
Normally, it was not an enterprise that a sober merchant like Antonio would have embarked upon, but it seemed proper in this case. Bassanio was made, not for trade, but for love. End of Act 1.
Okay, put it under the table or something.
All right.
Act 2, Belmont and Lady Portia's Palace.
All right.
Far across the sea in Belmont, Lady Portia's palace was by its side. Suitors stopped and languished, and sat as earned draperies, in her doorways, in her gardens, in her stables, and in her wine vaults. Lady Portia is sad as her father recently died, and she's because now she can't choose her own husband, but must be chosen instead.
By my troth, Mauritia, my little body is weary of this great world.
Portia's hair was fair as sunshine, and her countenance was fairer still. She was graceful and very beautiful. Before he died, her father prepared 3 trunks, one held gold, one held silver, and the third held lead. Each of her suitors was allowed one choice. If he was chose wrongly, he not only did not win Lady Portia's hand, but must relinquish all his own will. If your heart is inclined towards any one of your suitors, first there's the Neapolitan prince. Then there is Count Palatine. What do you think of the French lord, Monsieur Le Bon? And then there is the young baron from England. Happily for Lady Portia, her present crop of suitors was departing. None cared to risk his fortune on lottery of the trumps. Do you remember a lad, a Venetian scholar and soldier who came here when your father was alive?
Yes, I do remember him. I think his name was Bassanio.
He, of all the men that ever my foolish eyes looked upon, was the most deserving of a fair lady.
I remember him well, and I remember him worthy of your praise.
And of Act 2.
All right. We're back at the Rialto,
You got it.
back in Venice.
Near the Rialto Bridge in Venice. In Venice, Bassanio had found a way to raise money. However, it was necessary for the loan to be granted by Antonio. The moneylender was a Jew named Shylock.
3,000 ducats for 3 months, and a pound of Antonio's flesh.
Wow.
Shylock hated Antonio for being a Christian. Also, Antonio sometimes lent money at a very low interest rate, and so brought down the cost of borrowing in Venice. Lending money was the only way Shylock could make a living, since, by Venetian law, Jews could only make money in this way.
Well, Shylock, shall we be beholding to you?
Senor Antonio, many a time you have criticized me about my money lending, but I have borne it with patience. For sufferance is the badge of the Jew. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spat upon my Jewish Barbadian, but now it seems you need my help.
I am likely to call you dog again.
Antonio, noticing that Bassanio is uneasy and is afraid that the loan will not go through, demands a plain answer.
Will you or will you not lend the money?
If the money was to be lent, it must be according to a bond. If the bond was broken, the penalty must be exacted. Antonio desired no favors from Shylock.
Look how you storm. I would be friends with you. To demonstrate this friendship, I will lend the money with not a jot of interest.
This is wonderful news. You are very kind, Shylock. You shall not seal to such a bond for me.
Do not worry so, Bassanio. My ships will be home a month before the loan is due.
And they all left to visit a notary to draw up the bond, to confirm that the transaction was legal. Antonio's ships were the guarantee for making the loan. End of Act 3.
Mm-hmm. Little ships may not come in, as they say.
Waiting for your ship.
Act 4, inside Shylock's house.
Aha.
Now Shylock had a daughter called Jessica, and she was as lovely as the night in spring. She longed with all her heart to flee from her father's dark house, not to freedom, but for love. She was in love with Bassanio's friend Lorenzo, and he loved her too.
Oh, sweet Lorenzo, if thou keep thy promise, I shall end this strife, become a Christian, and be thy loving wife.
I am bid forth to supper this evening, sweet daughter. I am giving you my keys. Look to my house. I feel there is some ill brewing, so watch everything with a careful eye.
I will, father.
However, soon Lorenzo, Jessica's beloved, arrives under her window. Oh, who is within?
Lorenzo, and thy love! Ha 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 ha.
Jessica left her father's scowls for love's smiles, and her father's darkness for love's light, taking with her his treasures and herself, who was the dearest treasure of all. Lorenzo and Jessica fled the city in a secret gondola, and about the same time, Bassanio also left the city, bound for Belmont and Lady Portia. End of Act 4.
Mm.